ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
We all love a trip to Europe in the summer, but have you ever felt like you're not really welcome there? Melbourne woman Claudia had that inkling in Barcelona recently, when local residents very clearly wanted her to go home. Today we look at the growing anger among residents in some of the most popular tourist cities. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily. Claudia, you've just been in Spain, in Barcelona. It's a great city, isn't it?
Yes, I love Barcelona. Such a fantastic place to visit.
It is really bustling. There is always something going on. You need to watch out for your wallet as well. There's a fair few pickpocketers last time I was there. But that's not the point. The point is there are so many tourists in Barcelona that the locals aren't happy, and they've taken to the streets to demand that tourists go home.
Tourists go home! Tourists go home! Tourists go home!
Restoration and hotels is the group that makes really big money, but all the people are in a very poor situation and they don't have enough money to live. That's a problem.
The last years, the city has turned completely for tourists, and what we want is a city for citizens and not in service of tourists.
Now the City Council is responding, announcing plans to shut down all holiday apartments by 2028.
And you were really caught up in this, weren't you? Tell me about this day where the locals were expressing their almost rage against tourists. Paint a picture for me. What happened?
Yeah, it was quite bizarre actually. So I'd sort of seen some of the content on social media. I was in Barcelona with my parents. They give big boomer energy. So if anyone's going to get angry at tourists, it's probably going to be at my boomer parents. We didn't see any of this protesting or anger to tourists in the big tourist areas. So we went to Sagrada Familia, the Gothic Quarter, and that's where, you get obnoxious tourists with selfie sticks. I feel like if you're going to get angry at tourists, it would be in these really packed areas. It wasn't until the next day when I was in Gracia. If you're speaking Spanish, I'm speaking terribly, obviously. Gracia is like a very cool hipster Fitzroy, Newtown kind of suburb. So I saw graffiti everywhere saying tourists go home. And then later that afternoon, I was literally just sitting under a tree reading my book, no one around me, minding my own business. And then I screamed because someone sprayed me with a water pistol. And then I had 4 people just surrounding me, pointing their water pistols at me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, all right.
It's amazing, really, that you're surrounded by people. They're squirting you with water pistols, and their message is, we do not want you here.
Yeah. So I moved on after that tree to a plaza, and in the middle of the plaza was a group of probably 10 people just absolutely screaming and terrorising people sitting at terraces, going up to people just enjoying a meal, having a drink, and just like screaming at them in their face. And then I went to another plaza, packed restaurant, packed terrace. I found a empty table. I don't speak Catalan. I speak a little bit of Spanish. So I asked if the table was free in Spanish. And the waiter looked me dead in the eye and said in Spanish, no, we're closed.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Can you sort of understand their anger? Do you get it?
I completely understand being angry at tourists and what they can do to your area. I kind of have 2 thoughts about it though. I think be angry, but you're being angry at the wrong people. Don't be angry at the tourists. Be angry at the government, protest the government. Do these people who are terrorizing the tourists, do they never want to travel ever in their life? Have they never ever left their own city or their own neighbourhood? I'm sure those people have been to visit somewhere else in Europe. In the UK, they probably have gone further abroad. Do they never ever want to leave their area? Because that's not a way to live either. So I think I like the vibe, I love the anger, I love the passion, but I feel like it could be directed towards a better purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me then, Claudia, will you go back to Spain and Barcelona, do you think, or has it turned you off for now?
Oh, absolutely not. I will definitely be going back. I love Spain. I got a €15 manicure there. Beer is €1. It's a fantastic country. I absolutely love Spain.
Hi, my name is Sebastian Zenker and I'm a professor in tourism at the Copenhagen Business School in Denmark. And my expertise is on over-tourism, on the relationship between tourists and residents, and I guess that's why I'm here.
Yes, of course. And you're currently on holiday, so we do thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Tell me about Spain. It's, for a long time, been such a popular tourist destination. I mean, who doesn't want to lie on a beach on the Canary Islands sipping a cocktail? But, the locals there and in Barcelona, of course, are turning, a bit nasty, aren't they?
Yeah, nasty. I wouldn't say nasty. I think they talk about their rights, right? Because they live there and they want to continue their daily life, and they currently really have problems with that.
And it's not just, of course, in Spain, is it? There's also tensions in other places like the Netherlands, in Greece.
I know for a fact that our standards of living has gone down. When you increase the number of visitors 20 times, Santorini has a surface of 70 square kilometers. What kind of infrastructure you need to impose on this small island in order to cope with an increase of 30 times on number?
Also in parts of Japan, we know that locals are getting really frustrated by the massive tourists that descend on them.
Troublesome tourists have forced one Japanese town to start building a barrier to block a view to the iconic Mount Fuji.
And we see the tourist numbers are rising and rising and rising, right? So last year was already back to pre-COVID levels, sometimes even more than that. It's a ridiculous number of people flooding all these places. We all want to go back to holiday.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the world that want to do the same thing, let's face it. Mm-hmm. So it becomes very problematic. But why don't you take me back, I guess, to one of the roots of this problem? Because a lot of it can be traced back to the emergence of Airbnb, can't it, which was founded in 2008.
Yeah, I think that changed a little bit how tourists located in these places, right? If you think about previously, destinations had a management option by saying where could hotels be located and how many hotels do we have. And all of a sudden with Airbnb, this market got very flexible and nobody could control where people want to go. And saying that the original idea of Airbnb actually is a very resident-friendly idea because it means that somebody rents out one room and then people are living with the family. So they also have a social pressure to behave, right? You are a guest with someone. And then actually this became a huge, huge business. And nowadays it's not like that anymore. Nowadays it's like full apartment houses fully rent out on Airbnb because you make more money with tourists than with residents and housing them.
And it means that local residents can't live in those houses, right? There's something like 10,000 short-term rentals in the city of Barcelona. So there's a lot.
And the rents increased by 7 times as high as 10 years before, something like that in Barcelona. I heard that number.
Wow.
So prices go up. People cannot afford to live in the apartments anymore. Even people working in tourism. So they see, okay, I work for your nice trip here so that you have it nice here. And because of that, I cannot afford my living here. And that's a huge issue where the anger comes from. If you look at over-tourism, it has basically 3 parts. It's a crowding or capacity problem. A lot of places just have too many people. We had that for many, many years. And then places get too crowded, and then it goes down a little bit because people don't want to go there anymore. But that's just one small issue. I think the biggest part of over-tourism is the gentrification issue, that more and more that just the big companies get the money, that people are working in the industry for minimum wages, which is not enough to live anymore with the increasing prices. And then there's one issue about the fairness. So if you think about Barcelona, we have a water scarcity right now. So all the residents get told, don't shower that long. And then come the tourists. And of course, they shower as long as they want, right? It's holiday. Obviously, then there's a frustration about fairness as well.
In a statement, Airbnb says guests from Airbnb accounts actually are a really small proportion of visitors to Europe, but it does say it doesn't want to exacerbate any housing affordability problems. So I guess there's some negotiations to do there. Sebastian, let's then talk about what the solutions could be. Just first, tell me about demarketing campaigns. These are really interesting because they've been taking place in the Netherlands. What are they?
Yeah, so I think the solutions has to be, there's not one solution. It has always to be a combination. And one part of that can be demarketing campaigns. So what we see in the Netherlands, especially with Amsterdam, they wanted to get rid of certain types of tourists. And with Amsterdam, they want to particularly get rid of the bachelor party Brits. So they made a huge campaign. If you Google something on bachelor party in the UK, you get all these ads then on YouTube and all these other channels where they show little videos about what you're not allowed to do in Amsterdam and that you get into prison for that, or that it costs 800 euros fine if you are running around naked in public or urinate somewhere or whatever. So they increased the fines for that, and then they made a huge campaign about it and basically saying, don't come here. And they also have had a quiz or so where the answer at the end was, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, the answer is always then not go to Amsterdam.
Yes.
So that is actually a very heavy demarketing campaign that you can do.
Yes, sure. So that's sort of discouraging a certain group of people that they're not particularly welcome. Then the caps on tourists, there's taxes, of course, that some cities are bringing in. So there is a range of things going on, isn't there?
Yes. For instance, we had that in Venice where they make this entrance fee now. We see it in other places like Bhutan. They have a $100 per day fee to get into. It helps to lower the numbers, but if people are going to Bhutan and pay $100 per day, that's a certain type of people, and then they expect a certain service, a certain level of things. So then actually the problem is not solved for over-tourism as such. So that's why I said it's always a combination that you need to do.
So tell me, what do you think the fix is? So we can all travel freely, but don't have locals trying to, I guess, run us out of town. Where is the balance? How is it fixed?
So you have to make sure that you manage to a certain degree the amount of people coming in. And then at the same time, you have to also make sure that the money that actually are made with tourism really goes into the normal life of residents. The normal residents must feel and experience more where the money from tourism go, and that their daily life is increased by that. The money goes into schools, or goes into the infrastructure, or goes into not only one big company or two or three big companies.
And then we can coexist as tourists and residents. And Sebastian, I think we can all agree that we can all do without the bucks parties.
Yes, and I think we as tourists, as travelers ourselves, we have to just realize again and again and again that we are guests somewhere. For us, it's holidays, so Tuesday evening going out and going out late, it's fine. But for somebody else, they have to go to work tomorrow again. So we have to behave a little bit like visiting friends, right? You would behave as well.
Sebastian Zenker is a professor in tourism at the Copenhagen Business School. Claudia is a tourist who will be going back to Spain. This episode was produced by Oscar Coleman and Sam Dunn. Audio production by Anna John. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again tomorrow. Thanks for listening.